Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on some DC news. So, we are, just shy of a couple of weeks away, roughly, since the departing from San Diego Comic-Con, though it must be said, it wasn't like it was this avalanche of exciting news for what's coming soon with DC, especially after the end of this year. There was of course stuff like, some stuff from like some animated things and TV stuff that's coming later this year, but though Gunn said there just wouldn't be a presence, or like he underplayed it at the very least. I don't know if he specifically said, oh no, there's not going to be anything there. He definitely underplayed at least he's not going to be there. Some were still holding out that there could be at least one surprise, though there wasn't necessarily a slot to put that surprise, or at least the slot where it would have garnered a lot of attention at the very moment it would have been announced. So unfortunately, none of that really happened. Of course, as a silver lining, there are opportunities for announcements at larger conventions like CCXP in South America later this year, as well as even New York Comic Con if they want to go there, which is around the same time as well, roughly towards the end of the year. So that could be where the new form of DC Studios could make a presence, an announcement or two. But then again, they could just hold off until Comic Con in San Diego next year to talk about everything coming our way after Superman, as well as show some stuff from projects that may be wrapped at that stage, like Peacemaker Season 2, as well as anything that could be filming, like some of the other things we'll talk about in this video. And then they'll just use, most likely CCXP, just based off previous trends and records, as the main convention to promote Superman, as Superman will release a couple of weeks before San Diego Comic-Con next year. Then of course there is like Creature Commandos, but I think they've done the promoting that they will there, and also it's not like, I don't think they'd want to put too much money or like take up time for it, if that makes sense. I know it sounds like it's like downplaying Creature Commandos, but even James Gunn himself has sort of downplayed the show. Like, hey, it's part of this universe, but really Superman's the proper start. But though there wasn't anything really exciting announced at San Diego Comic-Con this year, there has been some reports come out over the past week or two roughly that I wanted to compile into one video and just have a chat about in regards to specific DC Studio stuff. There was some more stuff that was out there, but it was either like pretty boring or just uninteresting or just smelled of a bit of a lie someone was using for Twitter clout, because it wasn't coming from like at least like a website or something. It was just someone on Twitter, so I always try to avoid those if you can. But of course, throughout the video, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this stuff. I'm always curious to read what you guys are thinking, and of course, enjoy the video, drop a like, it takes 2 seconds. But the first thing to talk about is a report about the upcoming Green Lantern show, now on HBO. Not Max, was originally now moved to HBO, that of course being simply Lanterns. Now this is an exclusive report coming from Nexus Point News, which is an outlet that has only really popped up of recent from what I know. I'm not too sure if it's got people from like a former website now doing this, but we have sourced them a couple of videos back, I think it was, on Lanterns as a show. The legitimacy is sort of hard to target with this site at the moment, so I will continue to use them. It just does seem like it's just a lot of those DC news, those accounts on Twitter. There's, there's discussing film, and they do a lot of like, it's very broad, like in pop culture as well, pop culture as a whole, might I say. But these accounts just repost pretty much what discussing film would do, but just specifically about DC stuff. So it's multiple of those accounts, I think, are a part of this or connected to this website or something like that. But we will trust them until the BS detector goes off. For now at the very least, but this is what they are reporting. Exclusive! More details emerge as DC's Lanterns prepares for production. As Superman wraps and Season 2 of Peacemaker continues shooting, another DC Studios project is preparing to begin production at the top of next year, Lanterns. As previously reported by us, the HBO original series was looking to begin filming sometime in the first quarter of 2025. More specific production details have emerged, giving us a better sense of when cameras, not cameos, got cameos on the mind, I guess, when cameras will start rolling on this superhero detective series. We have exclusively learned from their sources that production is slated to begin in January of 2025 and continue through June of that year. Although we had previously heard rumblings that the series was looking to shoot in the United Kingdom, we have heard that it will be shooting in Atlanta now. The True Detective-inspired series will follow veteran Green Lantern Hal Jordan and rookie John Stewart as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. Having Atlanta be the filming location for this series will hopefully allow for more opportunities to shoot on location, as Atlanta is part of the American heartland. So the overall thoughts on this is that, I mean, at this point it's just it's a good educated guess that it would start filming around then. And also Gunn had sort of said, it was about a month ago, I think, roughly. I might be able to go back and try and find the social media post, but it was like a reply to someone, so I'm really just paraphrasing here. But it was essentially that, like, you know, anything that's coming out in the public, like that you're seeing from exclusive, like not exclusive things, but like proper like variety deadline and stuff, you know, they're in proper development and stuff. So it wouldn't, you know, you should expect to see, you know, the ball start rolling with a lot of those things. So Lantern should start obviously filming at least in the first half of next year or the first quarter, like this report is, you know, suggesting, or just exclusively reporting. But then there's things like Supergirl, for example, which, you know, that's going to be quiet. But then again, like Gunn's been busy and stuff like that, and there has been like some reports of like casting information, but it hasn't come from any sort of major outlets. So once again, things are most likely happening behind the scenes and stuff, but that's going to be quiet since the obviously actress Millie Alcock was announced, and then of course the director David Gillespie was announced as well. David Gillespie, it's something, no, Craig Gillespie. It's Craig Gillespie. David Gillespie is he's something in Australia. There's a guy called David Gillespie in Australia that does something. I think he might be a sports commentator. I don't know. But anyway, that's all happening behind the scenes. So hopefully once we get to CCXP, though they probably will focus on Superman when we get there, we might get some more things about, you know, Supergirl, Lens, and even some of the other shows that are just sort of sitting, like Waller, for example, that hasn't started filming. Though I think one of the big things that was said about Waller is that pretty much when Peacemaker stops filming or finishes up, that's when Waller will get the ball rolling, because there's going to be a lot of characters from Peacemaker that are being used for Waller. But yeah, that whole thing with the Lanterns thing, that's a wait and see. I'm sure like once we start getting, like, you start getting castings, that's of course when you go, okay, well, filming's about to start soon. You know, especially for a TV show, and it depends on the names. Of course, the names of like who they get for Hal Jordan and John Stewart, or maybe just specifically one of them. I don't know if they'll go for a big name for both of them, but they'll probably go for a big name for at least one, whether it is Hal or whether it is John. I think once those castings start coming out, that's when you pretty much can put like start the countdown as to when filming will start, just because it feels like that it's going to be like a very character driven thing with those two. And then a lot of the castings will matter, but they're not as important as those two, obviously. But next up is another rumor, which is interesting, as James Gunn has been fairly quick to debunk stuff, you know, really since he took over, but especially like the past like the 3 months leading up to Superman's film. Like once Superman started filming, he sort of just stopped talking, or at least debunking stuff not relating to Superman. But now he's active on Twitter again after wrapping Superman's filming, so you'd expect him to jump back into maybe debunking stuff. But this rumor has just sort of lingered out there for about a month or so, roughly. Now, this could be because it's true. Like, it's true and Gunn doesn't want to acknowledge it and just sort of, oh, well, I'd rather not announce that now. I'll sort of open to announce that later. Or it's just lingering there and Gunn hasn't acknowledged it because it's so untrue, it's not worth acknowledging it. But I just feel like it's probably leaning towards the truth, especially when you add in the second factor we will bring in. And of course, this rumor, which also stemmed from Nexus Point News, I'm pretty sure, like the Lantern stuff we just went over, is that Kumail Nanjiani has been cast as Booster Gold in James Gunn's DC universe. Booster Gold, of course, being announced as a show, originally coming to HBO Max, though it maybe could also be heading to HBO like some of the other shows have. Though I feel like Booster Gold will just stay as a Max show, just like how Peacemaker is going to stay as a Max show as well. But of course, this second factor comes via a convention that actually happened the same weekend as San Diego Comic-Con, funnily enough, this being GalaxyCon in North Carolina. So this is coming from the Cosmic Circus. I'm not going to lie, some of these website names are goofy as hell. Anyway, the Cosmic Circus reported this, and this is what they had to say when they ran into Blue Beetle himself, who we know is carrying over to James Gunn's DCU, that being Sholo Marijuana, at the convention. In other news for DC fans, when I asked about the Booster Gold rumors that was circulating, Sholo Marijuana told me that Kumail Nanjiani is indeed cast as Booster Gold. He briefly mentioned his excitement at the prospect of a future team up between Blue Beetle and Booster Gold in the DCU. Now, the only thing that immediately makes me go, there's no quote, there's no video of him saying it. I'd rather a quote, like I wouldn't mind the quote, but then again, maybe he just asked, he wasn't planning on maybe getting anything about Booster Gold and asking about it, and just said it off whim, wasn't recording, wasn't really trying to remember what he said exactly, outside of like, obviously paraphrasing, just summing it up. But my initial thoughts on, not Sholo, as Blue Beetle we've known for a while, he's coming over to the DCU, but in regards to Kumail as Booster Gold, parts of it work. I think overall, is it a shockingly bad casting or just bad casting? I'd say no. Is it good? No. I think it's just in the middle range. It's nothing that exciting, and I think to the general public, it's not necessarily a massive thing to draw people to the show. That's the only thing. Now, the reason I could see James Gunn going for Kumail is, one, they're friends, like they're, or at least friendly, but I'm pretty sure they know each other decently well to an extent. They might not be like buddies, but they're like, yeah, they're buddies. So, and we know that James Gunn likes to cast people that he's comfortable working around and trusting and stuff like that, which I'm fine with. I think you're better off casting someone you trust than casting someone that's incredibly risky and you don't know if they're going to be able to do any form of decent job. But I think the casting of Kumail, if it's true, probably means the show is going to borderline be a flat-out comedy, where I was sort of hoping the Booster Gold show would be a comedy, but just have some elements there of character growth. And I feel like when you cast Kumail, who's just sort of plays himself in movies, literally sometimes, whether it is just like he actually plays himself in like literally, he's just, I don't want to say he's one note, because I don't think a comedian, especially like, I think with a comedian you have to have a bit of like variance there, but I just think with him he wouldn't be able to do, if I was hoping for it. With Booster Gold, also hoping there'd be the character growth there, because you got to realize he's this guy in the future that, you know, his life didn't turn out the way it was meant to be. He wants to be famous. He was going to be famous as a footballer. That dream got ruined, so he becomes a superhero. And there's obviously little fun elements there and stuff, but I feel like there's meant to be character growth. I just don't know if he'd be able to play it. Oh no, that's just me, based off what I've seen of him. And I've seen most of his stuff, so that's my only worry there. But it just probably means the show is going to be borderline a flat-out comedy and almost be, I don't want to say Deadpool-esque, but maybe a bit like that, just because he can have the reference stuff because he's from the future, which they do in the comics as well. It's like, oh, I know this happened here, and he might mention it or something like, oh, this when this happened. He can say that because he's from the future and has that information, whether it's because he knew about it or because he can use Skeets, the little robot thing. So yeah, I don't know. It just maybe changes my outlook on what the show will be. I'm not necessarily angry at the casting. I know people are like really angry at it. I just don't think it's very good, but it's also not bad. I just think he can fit the show if it's meant to be just a straight up comedy, which is just different than what I thought the show would be, especially with Gunn in charge. I thought Gunn would have had a bit of complexity to it. Just like what you see even with like Peacemaker, that could have been like an incredibly goofy show, but he added a bit of heart and soul to it. And I thought Booster Gold might have been the same, but based off this, I'm not seeing it, but I want to be proven wrong. That's the thing. I'm not completely bashing it because I'd love to be proven wrong and Kumail to come in and absolutely nail it. I think the biggest concern that some people are noting, but some people are just sort of ignoring, is that Kumail's 46. He's 46 years old and sort of looks 46, maybe early 40s at best. And it's like, look, if you look your age, you look your age. There's nothing wrong with that. You'd rather look your age and look older than your age. And Booster Gold's meant to be like much younger, like just much younger, like not like 20, but like you'd probably be aiming for someone around their 30s that looks like they're 30. So he doesn't really, I am sort of confused by that. But there's one thing that I think could be happening here, and it maybe plays into this casting and potentially some other castings that could be going around. James Gunn keeps teasing that his story arc for his DC universe is only for 8 to 10 years. James Gunn himself is 58. Like, I don't see him doing this once he hits 70. So I think he's gone in 10 years. Not getting fired. I think he just hands the keys over to someone else after building, you know, the platform. So maybe these characters aren't being cast for longevity. They're being cast to fill the role for 8 to 10 years. And then there's something that either resets the DC universe or whatever it might be. I just feel like that's happening based off, like, James Gunn has said 8 to 10 years more than once. And some of these castings just line up with it as well. So I don't know, maybe keep an eye on that. Maybe he might tell us more about that. But then again, he maybe might want to box himself in saying like, oh yeah, I'm done after 10 years. He might not want to say that. But a lot of things just, especially this potential casting, if that happens, sort of leans to it. Even like an older Hal Jordan potentially as well. Like if they go for someone like a Hal Jordan that's maybe in his 40s as well, that might lean towards it also. But just a couple of other things to finish off the video. Two like things that were posted on Instagram and Threads. One's about Peacemaker Season 2 and Peter Solit, who is one of the directors for Season 2 of Peacemaker. He wrapped up his first week of directing and he put something on Instagram. He said, just wrapped my first week of directing Peacemaker. Huge gratitude to James Gunn and Peter Safran for inviting me. Talking about the crew. Thanks John Cena, amongst others. But he also mentions Joel Kinnaman. You might be wondering, what the hell? So Joel Kinnaman, of course, plays well, Rick Flag Jr. And Rick Flag Jr. died in the Suicide Squad. Now, Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, will be in this season. You can see on the little clap thing, the clapboard thing, that he directed episode 4. I'm going to assume we get flashbacks. I'm assuming this is flashbacks. So whether it's flashbacks between Peacemaker and Rick Flag Jr., or Rick Flag Jr. and Rick Flag Sr., or maybe a mix of both, something like that. There has been rumors that they're going to bring the character back alive, but I feel like that was a big character moment for Peacemaker, and if they're like undoing that doesn't... But then again, we don't know what the changes are to the canon and stuff like that, but I feel like keeping him dead is probably for the best in regards to at least Peacemaker's character. So I'm going to assume it's flashbacks. What the flashbacks entail, we don't know, that's a wait and see, but I'd assume that's what's happening there. And finally, just to finish off with some James Gunn stuff, someone asked him after Superman's wrapping, are you taking a short break or are you jumping right into another project? And he said, post-production for Superman, obviously editing, sound, VFX, etc. It's still a full-time job, especially on a movie as gargantuan as Superman. I'll be doing that while shooting some Peacemaker episodes as well. Not surprised, I think he's going to be locked in for Superman until Superman comes out. Like a lot of times with these movies, they like lock in the final cut a week or two out from the movie actually premiering. So I think James Gunn, his main focus will be there until around that time. Though I wouldn't be surprised too much if we get an announcement before around that time that, you know, his next project will be this, that, or the other, whatever the project will be. I don't know if he'll do another movie. He might want to go back and he might want to handle Booster Gold, for example. He might want to do a show, especially because a movie's a big task, but we'll wait and see, I guess. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on everything we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.